So another thing that we do is we send inspectors overseas to make sure that manufacturing plants who are making drugs that will be consumed by us are up to snuff. And you're doing some reforms there too.
Yeah, we have lots of inspectors at the FDA, and the way I learned it works is that FDA inspectors who inspect foreign pharma drug manufacturing facilities schedule their visits. So in my opinion, a scheduled inspection is no inspection.
Right.
Because then they scramble to get ready. And in some cases, I learned the pharma companies were sending their limos to pick up the FDA inspectors from the hotel. And they know exactly what the ETA of when they're arriving is, and then they get ready. So
this is like during Prohibition, when you'd get an inspection of your place to make sure there was no booze, and they'd give you 2 hours notice, and then you'd send a limo to come get them, and miraculously there'd be no booze there.
It's a joke. They're laughing at us. They're laughing at the FDA inspectors. So in line with President Trump's America First agenda, we are switching to more surprise inspections overseas, which is what we've done in the United States. So why have we had a double standard? If anything, we need to focus more on foreign inspections. So we're going to be increasing the number of inspectors inspecting foreign manufacturing facilities, and we're going to do it in a surprise basis.
It makes perfect sense. What about the measles outbreak that we've seen down in Texas? A lot of folks are blaming Kennedy for that because they think he's been too wishy-washy on his messaging. What say you? We've had a rise in cases.
Well, the outbreaks that have occurred, and they've occurred for years before Secretary Kennedy was in office, are in communities that just don't believe in vaccinating kids, Mennonite communities, in migrant communities where they've not had vaccines or believed in vaccines or wanted vaccines, one of those reasons. So I encourage parents to get their kids vaccinated against measles. I think we need to be honest with people on what we know and don't know. The MMR vaccine is a tried and true vaccine that's been around for a while. At the same time, we have to be honest about the facts about measles. It has a very low mortality rate, extremely low. There's almost certainly a underlying comorbid condition. So again, I'm not suggesting that people can skip it if they are healthy, but we have to be honest with the data to people, and that's how we rebuild public trust.
He's getting hit by some for not, when he sat with the grieving father of a 6-year-old girl who died, not telling her that vaccines work. Do you think that was inappropriate in that setting for him not to raise the effectiveness of the vaccines?
I don't know the details of that. I do know that vaccines save lives. I do know that a vaccine-preventable death is a tragedy every time that it occurs. At the same time, we have to be honest with people. Do they need a hepatitis B vaccine the day of birth for a new baby if the mom's Hep B negative? No, they don't.
Right.
And so when you have an absolutism around the vaccine schedule, where you don't allow moms to make a modification where a modification may be appropriate, that's when you lose public trust. And on Secretary Kennedy, people love to blame him for, something like an outbreak, but the reality is the MMR vaccination rates have been flat. So there's always been a portion of the United States population, left, right, religious, doesn't matter. There's a segment that does not choose to get their kids vaccinated. We live in a free country. And that segment has not really changed over time.
So he hasn't driven them down or up since he became a national figure this past year plus?
If anything, I think it's the lying during COVID. It was all the government misinformation and absolutism that bred some of that distrust.
Yes. Advertising on television. It's so annoying, first of all. It's all over television. They show these totally joyful people playing, flag football or dancing, whatever. Yeah. And then it's like, this medication may cause death. Yeah. What? So is there anything we can do about the ubiquitous ads on TV by Big Pharma?
You're right. They're always dancing. They're always singing. And at a certain point, you don't even know what these drugs are for, but right. You feel like, I give up. I'll take it. I'll just take it.
And then I'll dance and then die.
And then I'll dance. And so we're looking at that. We're looking at the information that's presented in those ads, and is it complete, is it informative? So we're taking a hard look at that.
You can't stop it, is my understanding.
We don't have any plans to ban direct-to-consumer advertising, but there are some things we can do to make sure that the information being presented is a complete picture.
We talked a little bit about all the food dyes that were in my child's potential cake icing. There's been some moves at the state level on that. We saw Gavin Newsom do something on red dye. Some other states have made some rumblings about it. Anything to announce on that?
Nothing to announce today, but we are taking a close look at that because food companies, they've told us, like, we want a common standard. We can't deal with a patchwork of 30 different states that are banning some or in certain places or settings. And so we're looking at that, and I expect an announcement soon where we're going to take a comprehensive look at what can be done and work with the food companies to help them transition to non-petrochemical food dyes that are polluting our nation's food supply. And it's not the individual driver of chronic disease epidemic, but they're making ultra-processed unhealthy foods look attractive with vibrant colors that don't appear in nature. That's part of it, and the other part is that petrochemicals have health concerns that have been raised in several studies now. We can't blow that off.